My name is Lynda Rodemaker. My husband and I, we own the shed in Lakefield, Minnesota.
My name's Dave Stubbe, run the flower market, Jackson, Minnesota, flower shop, greenhouse.
My name is Amanda Brandts, and I own the Jackson Anytime Fitness and the Worthington, Minnesota Anytime Fitness.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning to my fellow Minnesotans. As we're facing an unprecedented health and societal event, I have the absolute confidence, as always, that Minnesotans come together. They're there to help their neighbors. They're there to do the right thing. I'd also like to say a thank you to all of the public and private sector healthcare workers and the folks working to ensure that Minnesotans are doing everything possible to stop the spread of COVID-19, to treat those once they're infected, and to make sure Minnesota is doing our part in bending that curve so that our healthcare system is able to absorb the incoming numbers of people.
What was it like 2 weeks ago in here?
Great, yeah, which you can see is pretty much, whereas 2 weeks ago, we're probably packed, busy. I think we actually had music and karaoke going on, so we had a pretty good crowd and everything. And, we do our steak nights on Friday night, which is always a big draw. And
our wing nights. Well, every night with the specials we have going on.
But so now it's definitely quiet. So like I said, it's been scary. I mean, I haven't been sleeping very good at all for the last few days. And when I come to work, I pace around the building, just around, trying to, what should I do or not do, or what should I order or not order. And then I get off work at 1:30 when we're usually not closed. And then I start pacing around again, like, what should I do? Should I go home? Should I stay here? Which I don't have too much gumption to do anything else per se, so I don't know.
I think that's kind of a state of depression, though. I mean,
right. Oh, yeah.
Like we said in our meeting earlier, our employees, which I believe we have 12 employees, they're like family to us. We are worried about them, because how are they going to make their living, and it's tough. At the same time, we have to watch out for ourselves too, because we still have the bills we have to pay for the business plus our home, so.
When did it really hit you guys? Like
Like they gave us, they gave us a couple day warning, and we didn't really, which, of course, that last day we were open, that Tuesday, we had our annual Tuesday twofers, and boy, the place was packed, and people went nuts, So that was a good drawing out that people kind of number one, it was twofers, so people liked that anyway. But I think there's a lot of people that came in that probably don't come in that wanted to show their support to us and say, hey, this is your last day. Or simply, this is the last day they could go to a bar and sit down and have a beer in a public place and talk to some friends and stuff, instead of going to their houses. So, that was and the big sport is, we started doing takeout right away the next day. And we were pleasantly surprised how good our takeout was. And, I don't know if that's going to continue that way or not, but, everybody's still got to eat. And people, I think we serve pretty good food, so I think people enjoy it. And they like our pizzas, so, that's a big draw. So.
Back to that last night we were here, it was a feeling of everybody was happy, but everybody was sad because it's like, okay, we're having our last beer at the shed until God knows how long. And like I had to go outside and cry because I could not believe the support that was here and the people that were literally sad that they weren't going to be coming to the shed for a while.
Because it is it's their hangout. They enjoy coming here to socialize, It isn't so much like you say a slash bar. It's a place to come and shoot the crap and BS,
Right, that they could. We have many people that they come in there with their grandparents, their parents, them, and their kids. That's 4 generations right here that will come in and eat dinner on a Friday night or a Wednesday or whatever. So it's a hit to the whole community, and I'm very shocked so far at how. I shouldn't say shocked. I'm very overwhelmed by the support that they've shown us so far in the last 36 hours since we've been closed.
Bottom line is probably the financial side of it, strictly that, that maybe everybody overspends a little bit, or you never dreamt anything like this would happen, or like I said, now you have to budget your ordering and everything, and like I said, I guess that's what scares me is just that, if it, I think anybody can probably handle 2 weeks of getting hit a little bit, but then if it's another 2 weeks, it's just, then where you're better off being closed completely, or should we, like I said, we actually just refinanced our loan for our building here, so it's like, I don't know if that's almost like terrible timing because we added a little bit onto it. It's like we have now another 12 years of payments that really wasn't planning on, and then in another month we got hit with this deal, so like, well, which I'm sure has happened with many people.
Right.
And then like this, they say, well, they can help you out. You have a low interest loan or whatever. Well, what good is taking out another loan? I mean, and they said you won't have to make last I heard is you don't have to make another payment. You won't have to make your first payment for 6 weeks. Well, does that really do me any good? I guess that's nice. I don't have to make a payment for 6 weeks. But if I got to borrow $30,000, I still got to pay that back. It's just like I'm still getting hit by it, So I mean, it's a nice gesture and everything, but
I think it's more as with anybody, the scariest. I have two scary points, and one is the main thing that concerns me is our employees, because like I said earlier, I think in any bar restaurant business, that you get to know your employees, like they're friends just as well as employees, and the employees get to know each other and they hang out, and this and that, and that's what concerns me the most is their well-being. And then I think the second thing that concerns me the most, which I'm sure it does everybody, is just the unknown. What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen next week? Are we going to be in, everybody's in lockdown? And then you worry about the safety of your business. Are there going to be people that don't care and break your windows and come in and get what they can get, because I don't think it'll come to that, but in some places it almost already has, in some bigger cities.
I think denial is the right word.
That's the good word.
I mean, I joked around, which you have to, make light of it, and I always did. But like I said, I think that really did hit me yesterday, because I even cried too, just today, just talking about her having to do her meeting, and then or I see a post, and I didn't find any humor in nothing anymore. And me and Lynda have been edgy too, and I think we've been edgy with some of our employees also. And like I was telling you earlier, that we're talking to each other, but we're not really hearing everything we're saying to each other because your mind is somewhere else. I'm focused on trying to, okay, well, how much food should I order, this or that? And she's trying to talk to me about this and what our hours are going to be. And so we're talking, but not all of it's registering. So like I said, that true denial, and now it's like, I guess you still got to take light of it.
We're a rural community. It's never going to get here. Well, it's here. I don't know about Jackson County, but I know there are some cases in some surrounding counties. But it's here. And, maybe we were acting like those, or they call them millennials that are in Florida, that paid no heed to the social distancing on the beaches. And now the beaches are closing down. But it's like they were invincible because of their age. Well, we're invincible because we are in a rural community. It's not so. And I think we can't take that for granted.
Yeah, not anymore, I guess, right?
Because it's here, and it's crazy. I think the only advice I can give to ourselves and anybody else that, we got to hold our breath and hope for the best, and it could be a long ride, it could be a short ride, but I truly think in the end we'll come out as a country and any community stronger and more aware of your surroundings and just everything.
What brought my spirits up today was I was pretty down today for a while, but then I got to watch my granddaughter, and that really brought my spirits up. And so maybe and I've read that too, is maybe it is a time you spend with your kids, your grandkids. Maybe everybody will be a stronger, closer-knit family because of this. So to look at it that way, I guess, and see what happens.
Well, and it could be God's way of saying, hey, what happened to family?
Right.
And so he's forcing it on us. It could very well be his way. I do think he's got a plan for all of us, and this might be the beginning of his plan.
Hi, my name is Amanda Brandts, and I own the Jackson Anytime Fitness and the Worthington, Minnesota Anytime Fitness. I used to work in the gym industry when I lived in the cities, and then when I moved down here for my husband, there's kind of a lack of jobs for females, and I was in sales for for John Deere, and I wanted a gym membership, and there really wasn't like a gym, and then we kind of were like, why don't we make one?
How was it like 2 weeks ago in the gym?
It's one of our busiest times of year because it's spring break. Everybody's getting ready to go to spring break. Everybody is kind of getting excited that summer's coming. So we're usually pretty busy this time of year.
Pretty active, doors were open.
Yep, doors are open, really probably one of the busiest it ever is. I'm really extremely worried for the economy. I'm extremely worried for what it's going to do to all of our citizens because I think of all the people that are extremely affected by this, and I think of the fact that these people are not going to be able to pay their bills, and for 7 years it's going to be on their credit history, and it's going to affect them from buying houses or other things, and all because of we can't keep our doors open even if we wanted to and practice safe measures.
Yeah, it's almost like it's out of our control.
Yeah.
There's like nothing we can even do because no matter how much you market or advertise, it still doesn't matter.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Yes, and that's the hard part. I just wish it was maybe more of a at discretion, or just because if you has anyone been into our facility, it's a very large facility, and really nobody was even within 10 feet of each other because it is so large and it's a very small community. So, and everybody disinfects after they touch everything, which is abnormal. You don't, when you go into a Target, you're not wiping down everything you're touching. Well, about a week and a half ago, I definitely noticed it was getting sparse. People weren't coming in as often, or they were choosing to come in when it was less busier, which is completely understandable. Everybody was kind of taking turns to come in. So I definitely noticed it there, and we were going way out of our way to make sure everything was disinfected at all times, adding extra hours for extra cleaning. And then it was once the state mandated the closure, I think is really when it hit us, because I had heard about restaurants, but I guess I didn't realize the small town gym would get hit in it as well. Yeah. I really hope they don't continue the lockdown. In my opinion, I hope it becomes more of a discretion, not saying that I don't value people's health, because I do. also worry for the fact if people aren't living a healthy lifestyle and they're just cooped up in their house watching TV and eating junk food, it's also not going to help their immune system, and we're also not going to beat it that way either. So that's a concern that I have. I'm concerned for now, obviously. I hope that we can stop the mandated and it can be more of a at your discretion. Let's try to be as best with this as possible. If you feel sick, please stay home, stop going out. Ask someone to bring you something if you're not feeling well. I hope we can start just using our common sense and it not have to be a government mandated thing. Luckily, daycare has continued to stay open, which was a relief because my husband's work is mandating they still come in. And for me, I'm still busy. Even though we're technically closed, my phone doesn't stop ringing, my emails don't stop coming in, and everybody still expects my full attention. So if I had to have my kids home, it would be terrible. I mean, there's a lot of things that personally affects. I also not only own the business, but I run the business. So I'm always at both locations. I personal train, so all my clients I can't take on. It's extremely stressful. So it's a stressful time period, so everybody else is extremely stressed. So I'm getting people screaming at me all day, every day, pretty much, which doesn't make it fun to go home either, because you're already high strung. So there's a lot of things that are affected. It's not just money, it's emotional, there's a lot of things. I'm used to waking up and going, okay, what should we start planning for to do this? And it's like, well, no, I really shouldn't plan for that because we could be shut down even longer. And then why waste my time planning for that? Because now that's going to be out of season. And it almost is like waking up in a whole new world, and not necessarily a good one, but just definitely very, very different than what I ever thought I would be in 2 weeks ago.
Right. It's just like readjusting to this way of, you just don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah. And when you're self-employed, you're used to working nonstop. And that's why you are self-employed generally. You enjoy to work. So I think there's also that part of it that people aren't thinking about. It's like that is what brings us joy, is working. Owning your own business, period, is extremely risky. People don't think that. There is a big misconception with it. People think, oh, small business owner, I wish I could own my own business. I could make my own hours and roll in all this money. And it's like, well, actually, it's not like that. Things like this happen, and we don't have unemployment to file. My employees can. I can't file unemployment. I'm going to be basically with no income, and then if this continues even longer, which is something that worries me, and then I go into maternity leave in July, and that's an unpaid thing because I'm a self-employed person. So they don't have anything like that for self-employed, so it's extremely risky. And I'm talking to my other fellow Anytime owners nearby, and most of them don't know if they're going to open their doors after the 10 days because they don't think they can financially do it. Well, what I hope for is it helps bring the community together during this time. The nice part about both facilities have very different communities, but it would be nice to see the community kind of value small businesses, and then also kind of be a reminder for them that most of the time small business owners are putting their neck out on the line for them to continue to do business locally and not have to drive all the way to a Mankato or a Sioux Falls or something to be able to do these things. So I hope that it kind of brings the community strengthening, which I think it will. And I just hope that then people also can value some of the things that maybe we've come to underappreciate and not realize some of the nice things that we do have in town locally that we didn't realize were such a value to our lives.
Right.
What I would tell other small businesses right now is you're really not in it alone when it comes to the feelings that you're feeling, because I think we're all feeling a certain sort of way, and it's almost probably the same kind of feelings of grief where you have anger and then you're upset and then you don't believe it's happening, and but also that we're kind of all in this together, so hopefully we can kind of all help each other through this time. And I know for me, like, I'm going to try to take this time and put my energy into also how can I improve my business once we open, and what better things can we do better for our members, and how can we improve and take this time as a reprieve. I just think the main thing I'd like people to know is, I think it's during this time of high anxiety to be kind to everyone, because you really don't know what the other person that's on the other side of the phone, all of that, what they're all dealing with. And I think we all have an extreme amount of just anger and anxiety or worry that maybe this could affect your family. And so I think we have to stop and breathe sometimes if somebody is being a little feisty with us, or and not to be feisty with other people, because they're probably in the same boat, feeling the same way.
Okay, my name's Stubbe. I run the flower market, Jackson, Minnesota, flower shop, greenhouse. We started back in 1992, my wife and I. Been doing this for 28 years. Good years, bad years, kind of weather the storm. Well, we've done spring planting every year, and kind of got our little niche market, basically, I'll put it that way. I don't know, flower shops, do funeral work, weddings, general day-to-day flowers. Just been doing it for a long time. I was anticipating basically a normal spring, maybe a little bit better. Some of the greenhouses in the area have closed, so I expected a little uptick actually, because less competition. As far as the cut flower side, doing the business with the day-to-day, right now for us it's kind of stayed steady to maybe just a little bit down, but nothing where we're going to notice it is the funeral work and the weddings. That's where we'll see. And then with school being closed, graduations coming up, that'll affect. And then just spring. I mean, if they don't lift this restrictions pretty soon, I mean, it's going to affect us big time. It's already affecting us for the Easter season.
Since the church closed?
Yeah, well, the churches are closing and they're canceling Palm Sunday services. Some churches are still taking their orders, but some are not, and I can't expect them to. I mean, but we're out on a limb on that too. So, I mean, it is what it is, and we're just going to have to deal with it. The virus to me is part of everyday life. I think the cure might be worse than the than the solution than the actual results. I'm not saying that I want everybody to get sick, but there is a point in time where we are basically running scared. We deserve to be scared, but I also think you need to rise up and say we will fight this the best I can and not shut down. And right now, the government, and that encompasses everybody from the president down to the governor to local mayor, and that they all are saying shut down, and it does make sense, but you still have to do your job. I mean, I still have to come in and water every day. I still have to plan for spring, and I still have to spend the money for spring. If I don't do that, when they do lift this and it's spring, I am broke. If they quarantine so that I can't have spring, I'm broke. This will, they say dip into your savings and do all this stuff. We've done that. I mean, we're at the point where how far do I go in debt to do this? I don't want another loan, another government bailout. That's not going to do me any good. All it does is make you pay another loan off. We went through this when we had a flood, and all it did is, I got the loan and we paid it off, but it was another payment. I don't need another payment. They need to maybe do a reality check and say, we don't shut down for the flu. And I know that's not a perfect example, and we don't shut down for car accidents and all that. We wise up and we got to figure a solution. And I know they're working on it, but how bad do they want to tank our economy, because they're killing the economy everywhere, but they're really going to kill the small businessman if they aren't careful. And they won't recover, because why do you want to go deeper in debt on a job that, I'm 56. I'm going to be getting close to retirement. I don't want to go deep in debt, so I'm working till I'm 80. I don't want my kids to have to worry about it. There are opportunities. I'm not denying that, but you also got to be realistic and say you can only do so much before you say I've spent enough, I've done enough. And I'm not there yet, but it is frustrating when you see, good God, you can't even walk in social, just the socialization, you need to be able to, we are social people. People need to talk to people, and not over the phone, in person. They want the interaction. And, I had a customer want a bag of dirt, and they wanted me to come out, throw the bag, and they didn't want to even get out of their car. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're scared. And to me, people get sick. My wife's in one of the high-risk categories. My dad's a high-risk category. I'm up there in high-risk category. I'm starting to think that the cure might be worse than the actual disease. My money is basically being spent all the way through. Once I hit Easter's kind of the kickoff. I'll put it that way. I got to have things look good. But if they don't allow us to sell to the public, 6 foot, the social distancing and all that stuff, there comes a point in time where the person has to decide what they're going to do. But then I'm also looking at, okay, so they set up a program from the government, which, they're going to say, we'll give you money for this. Well, that's nice, but in 2 years, we're still going to be feeling the effects of this, because, there's things that we're doing, trying to get through this year, just because it's taking business away. We've lost, I've cut my Easter order in half already, and the wholesale side, I've cut it in half. So I mean, I'm down a couple $1,000 without even thinking about it. And that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but in a small town, it is. I mean, you gotta sell a lot of flowers to pay for electricity, pay for heat, the labor bill. I mean, I got gals that are working for me that one gal right now is not coming in basically because I need to cut back on expenses. I mean, it's affecting her. And yes, they can file unemployment, but you can't live on half a check. And not only that though, when they do the unemployment, that will be paid back by the business owner. It ain't going to be paid back by the government. The businesses are the ones that pay to the unemployment insurance, not the government. And when they sit and say, we're going to pay out the benefits, that's fine, but then they're also going to turn around and make that business pay for them to pay out their benefits, and they're thinking, and the public thinks that the government's doing it when it's a program that is necessary, but they are taking credit for something that the businesses are paying for. And I mean, and again, per business is not a lot, but when you got to pay an extra $1,000 that you normally don't pay for something that you did not use and your employees did not use, I don't think that's fair to the average businessman. And there's going to be a lot of small businesses that are going to get stuck with it, just because they're trying to make this as painless as possible. And it is going to be painful. We just got to determine, well, how much pain do we want to give? Because there's, not to be cruel, but there's people that no matter what, they're going to die. I'm going to die. It's just a matter of when. So where's the dividing line? What determines that? I don't think people want to admit the hard, cold reality that some of the people that are passing away now from this virus have pre-existing conditions. Some of them have pneumonia already, or are in, some of them have cancer, leukemia, heart conditions, all this, and, sometimes, right now, to me, the cure is starting to be more expensive than the disease. I got a son that's a senior in high school. Hopefully he was trying to look at maybe trying to get a track scholarship. Track season is not going to happen, basically, from what I'm seeing. So there goes that opportunity. It's not the end of the world for him, but it's an opportunity that all those kids deserve a graduation. All those kids deserve, they're good kids. We got good kids in this community. They deserve to be recognized for their hard work. I mean, every year we've done it, and to now all of a sudden say you can't get together and have a graduation party, to have just a ceremony recognizing their achievements, just to graduate high school. To me, I think they deserve that right. Is it a right? I think it is. In response to the closing of the bars and restaurants and the essential workers, if you didn't have a job, then you're not essential. I think all jobs are essential. To all of a sudden say your job's not essential, then why the heck are you getting paid? To all of a sudden say to the businessman, close your doors because you are a contagion, but yet they're allowing the government to be ran, they're allowing the news reporters to cover news stories, and they are not at their social distancing. When you see them on the news, they're standing right behind each other. They're doing everything they're telling us not to do. They're doing that. They're still having people go to. The nurses are doing their job. The doctors are doing their job. The truckers, the grocery store, the distribution centers, they're all doing their jobs. They're all essential. Entertainment, going to a movie, just the social interaction. To me, that's all essential jobs. it's not, oh, you're non-essential. That's an insult to me. I mean, if you think you're not important, then I'm sorry, you are important. Your job is important. You enjoy doing your job. And right now, the government to tell them that it's not, that's just wrong. You know, we're a free country, and right now, yes, we need to be careful and we need to be smart. But we've dealt with the flu, we've dealt with H1N1, we've dealt with MERS, we've had other diseases, and this is the first time we've shut this down. And who's driving it? I don't know. I mean, I ain't going to get political on it, but I find it fascinating that all of a sudden everything is bad news. Where's the optimism? You know, there seems to be a lot of pessimists going on right here, and it's no big deal. Sit back and let it work its way out. Well, how am I going to... I cannot show up and water I have to water my plants every day. A dairy farmer has to milk his cows. A pig farmer, cattle feeder. Every business has something that has to be done every day, or else they would not have a job. Even the people providing food at the restaurants. There's people that need that food, and they don't want to sit in their car and eat their food. They want to sit in the restaurant and eat their food. I don't want to drive up to a drive-thru and order a steak dinner and then go sit in my car and eat it. I want to sit at a table. You know, people, and yes, we can sacrifice, and we are sacrificing, but to me, what happened to our common sense? We're going to turn into a society of pure chaos, because we need the structure. You need the schools. The schools are doing a great job. We got a great school in this town. It is. It's just sad that they aren't even. They're not even letting. We're teaching our kids more fear than we're going to rise above this. They're telling, don't do that because you might get hurt. Well, I might get hurt walking out the door and get hit by lightning. I jump in my car. I'm going to drive downtown. I could get hit by a car. I could go in the back room and have a heart attack. It's a reality that we have to face, that there is sometimes you got to let a disease run its course. And I'm not suggesting that, but I am suggesting that we do need to get more of a realistic check and stop. Just because of, another case has been confirmed in pick a county or a town, it doesn't mean the town needs to shut down. Like I'm saying, this is going to spread just because of the fact we can't control the wind. We can't control the birds flying in and out, landing, the rats, the mice, the squirrels. I can be totally clean of bugs in the spring. I open my doors up and people walk in and I got bugs coming. I open the doors and the wind blows in bugs. It's just a reality. You have to accept that fact. And then you got to account for it. And right now we're trying to do a zero prevention. Yes, I want zero prevention, but to me, we're losing our freedom to make our own choice. You know, and yes, like I'm saying, I have a wife that's very high risk, but she's like, this is getting too far. You know, to have someone, you pull up to, you're allowing 6 people in your store to go shopping at the grocery store. Then you get another 6 people, another 6 people. Well, pretty soon, they're just going to sit and say, well, I'm on there only for one time. I'm going to take everything I can now. That's not helping. You know, quite honestly, the emotional support you need is from community, and you need that togetherness. The churches are part of the community. Now they're not having service. You know, yes, I understand why, but to me, you lean on God. You trust in the divine, or whatever your religious belief is, fine, but there comes a point in time where you have to trust that this is going to work out. You got to have some faith, and not be stupid. I mean, if you're sick, you stay home. But I'm not sick, so why should I not have my business open? You're not sick. Go do your job. Are you going to expose people? You expose them to the flu. You expose them to how many times have you? And yes, I mean there are people that are that have problems. Don't get me wrong, but we didn't panic this bad before, and all of a sudden here we are panicking, and I just find it sad.
Small business owners that's watching, what's your thought?
Okay. My thoughts on the small business.
What should they do, or how should they move forward to all of us?
Boy, I don't know what to even tell you. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan that spring's going to come. I will have faith that spring's coming. People are going to want to still plant flowers. They're going to want to go out and eat. Quite honestly, I'm at the point where if you want to get together and have a gathering, call me. I'll get together and have a gathering. Loneliness is not good. You cannot get this by yourself. And when you quarantine into a house where you're by yourself, that's not good. My dad's at the nursing home. He hates it. And not because of the nursing home. The nursing home is very good. He's lonely.
You guys can't even go. Can you?
No, we can't go. It's the way it goes.
Yeah.
That's about it. So, and pardon me. As far as survival rate of what we're going to do next year, don't know. If this is bad enough, we'll be done. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but I'm just saying there's people out there that are going to say I've had enough. Hopefully I'm not one of them. I don't think I will be. As far as the government giving out money, quite honestly, I anticipate that most small business owners will not get the money. It will go to the general public, but not to small business owners per se, because you're a businessman. I honestly don't know if that's true or not, so don't quote me on that, but I do expect, again, most businessmen do not need another loan, and they do not want a grant or anything. They just want to be open to let them survive. They were doing well before. They'll do well again, but now to try and, I mean, I can't even fathom the amount of businesses, the bars. It was St. Patrick's Day and the bars were closed. Everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. I don't care who you are. That hurt. You know, they still got to pay their bills. And what good does it do to stop your mortgage payment for 2 months or whatever? You still got that mortgage payment, and if there's no business to bring in to pay that payment, what are you going to do? You know, it's all questions that are downright unknown, but are you going to work through it? Are you going to, I mean, we aren't going to fold over and walk away, but
A lot of uncertainty.
There's so much uncertainty that no one knows what to do, and again, I think there's a lot of overreaction. And people are saying we're going to shorten the curve. Well, that's true. We are going to shorten the curve, but quite honestly, is the cure worse than the disease? And, you know, I'm not saying it is yet, but it's getting close, because how many people are going to be flat-ass broke? You know, how many people are going to sit and say, what am I going to do? Where am I going to get my next meal from? And again, yes, there's government solutions, but you know, what is that solution? How much freedom are they going to take away from us to get that solution? That's my one concern. I mean, you aren't seeing them close down the packing plants. You ain't seeing them close down the trucking companies. The nurses are still being forced to work, but they're being allowed to go home most of the time unless they get the disease, then they're quarantined. But if it was truly as hazardous as they're saying, nobody should be moving anywhere. And this is, to me, there's a lot of preventative care that is almost too preventative. Like I'm saying, I sometimes think there are certain times we do not live forever, and I think right now everybody's thinking that this disease is going to kill them tomorrow. It's not going to kill us tomorrow. There's going to be some that die. That's the sad reality. I don't like that reality either. Like I'm saying, I know a lot of people that are in that high-risk group, and you do what you can, but we can't lose our humanity by getting everybody to go in their own house and do nothing except with their family. That's fine, but we are a community, and the community needs to be supported. That's where I'll stop, I guess.
All right.
I'm running for office.